But for you, there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of headlines, frankly, about Democratic candidates who are upset, progressives in particular, who are angry about what they feel like is the D trip putting their finger on the scale. You had Steny Hoyer recently recorded in Colorado asking some candidate to drop out of a race. Why does the D trip know better than voters in a given district who to pick?
Haley, voters always know best, and ultimately this is up to voters across the country. I think what's important, though, is with all the work that the grassroots have been putting in, it's important that we have candidates in these races that can win through the election cycle, and that's where we've been working to make sure that there are strong candidates that are out there. But ultimately, this is absolutely up to the voters across America.
Congressman, is it fair to say that what you described as working to put best candidates out there can be viewed by some folks, particularly progressives, as putting your finger on the scale? Aren't you doing just that?
Look, I think that especially in California, where it's been widely reported, and we've also been asked and told by many progressive organizations that are out there of their concerns of not having a Democrat in the top two, and that's a real concern. So just as we learned when Congressman Pete Aguilar was defeated back in 2012, and we didn't have a chance to even have a Democrat in the top two in the general, and all of the work that the grassroots put in to make sure we were defeating Republicans, we've learned from that. And we need to make sure that we have Democrats in these seats across the country. And I think California is a good example of why we need to be leaning in some of these races. But ultimately, it's up to the voters.
This conversation is making me think of something that happened in Texas recently with Laura Moser there, I think in the 7th district. And I'm wondering if you have regrets, if you feel like that backfired, that the D-Trip kind of went up against her. Now she's in a runoff. Do you wish you hadn't put the resources, the D-Triple-C, against her, given that even Tom Perez said that was probably a mistake?
Well, look, I think that some people try to make this about ideology, Haley. It never was about ideology. I'm a progressive. I have a lot of strong progressive positions as well, and I stand by my record. That's not what this was about. When you have a candidate that has been writing over the last 20 years that they'd rather have their teeth pulled out than move back to the state that they're running in without anesthesia, that's concerning. And then when they continue to write articles that offend the African American community, people with abilities, people from Texas, I think that's disqualifying, and I stand by that decision.
So no regrets on that.